When Monster Hunter Wilds initially released, it was doing phenomenally for Capcom. It reached nearly 1.4 million players over on Steam, never mind console numbers, and there was a lot of positivity surrounding this title, but unfortunately, it was bogged down by performance issues. There were a lot of gamers who were saying they couldn't even play it because it was so buggy and broken, and now the Access Media is claiming that Capcom has saved us all and they've patched out this inexcusable list of problems, even though gamers are calling BS. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I understand that the Access Media is only still slightly relevant because of their access. They need to shill for companies and push the narratives that the companies want them to in order to get early interviews and PR material and inside info, though this is why gamers do not trust them anymore. Situations like this, because while Eurogamer is sitting here saying that the game is saved and this new patch finally fixes the game's inexcusable performance woes on PC, they're ignoring the fact that several other things have now been broken in this game, and that's unfortunate because a lot of people saw this headline and thought, finally, I can play this game. There's not going to be problems, though. That's just not the truth. While they fixed, let's say, 5 problems, they've broken 10 other things, and a lot of gamers are really upset over this, and rightfully so. When you charge full price for a product, we should not be beta testers. If I'm going to be a beta tester, right, I deserve a 20 or 30% discount. I don't deserve to sit here and be scammed. And unfortunately, that's what's happening with so many companies right now, not just Capcom, but it was really bad with Wilds. I mean, initially, it also faced quite a lot of backlash, as you can see for the overall reviews. They're sitting at mixed, and the positives did outweigh the negatives, though it was still very close. I mean, when it launched in February, it was sitting at 46,587 positives, so 59%, and then 31,786 negatives. Since then, we haven't seen really a lot of reviews be put on. I mean, in, April, we saw a couple thousand, May 9th, May 9th was down to 488 positive and 434 negative, but now that this newest patch has come out, the recent reviews are down to overwhelmingly negative, a very different picture than the one that Access Media is trying to paint, and so many gamers are talking about how they're furious, right? That their game is buggy and broken still months after the fact. People gave them a chance to fix this title. People were willing to come back and play more of this title, but this is the problem with a lot of these companies. They feel like, you know what, we got their money, so that's all that matters. They don't have to live up to our expectations. And I know sometimes we expect a lot from companies, but I don't think that most of us expect them to release a 100% perfect game with absolutely no bugs or glitches. Of course, that would be the dream, but a lot of us can deal with some technical difficulties. But this game was unplayable for a lot of people. And yes, some of those individuals did have potato PCs and they probably shouldn't be complaining, but there are people who have absolute behemoths of computers who couldn't even play this. There are people that have 35 hours on record, 20, 302, and they're talking about how they're a veteran Monster Hunter player and they're disappointed. And Wild sincerely worries them, they said. The reason I fell in love with Monster Hunter in the first place was the deep sense of immersion and progression present in older games. There used to exist the perfect amount of friction, so to speak. Quests needed to be properly prepared for, monsters needed to be learned, each map needed to be explored and studied, gear needed to be earned by grinding hunts. Old Monster Hunter gameplay was a well-polished and addictive feedback loop. Wilds is an autopilot version of Monster Hunter I used to love. Optimizing gear no longer matters, the monsters die no matter what. There's no need to learn the maps. Your mount automatically takes you to the monsters, which are now permanently visible on the map. Yeah, I played it, and I just didn't feel like it felt like the Monster Hunter I used to love. It kind of just felt like a normie Monster Hunter, and I know that's happening with a lot of franchises right now because companies want to get as many people interested in their games as possible. But I still feel like you need to cater to the audience you already have. Like, is it really that much to ask for that you respect the audience that you know is going to show up to support you? They talk about how monsters just give 1 or 2 times the rewards they used to, so no need to hunt a monster more than a few times for the weapon you want. And trying to innovate, Capcom broke the feedback loop I knew and loved, and I hope that before they release the expansion, they remember that Monster Hunter was great because of friction, not in spite of. Not recommended, 113 hours on record. Save your money. This game needs to cook for an additional year or two and get an expansion like Sunbreak or Iceborne before it's worthy of its current price. And I agree with this. I have said consistently that I thought Monster Hunter Wilds needed another at least half a year to be developed for it to be in a proper state. It just feels like they rushed it out because they had promised this release date, and now it's one of their major games that they're relying on to make the money. And yeah, I mean, clearly it has made them a boatload of cash, but they're not bringing players back. I mean, right now in games, 35,878 people, and the 24-hour peak is 87,000. Even just a couple of days ago, it was maxed out at 133,000, which might sound like a lot, but compared to nearly 1.4 million players 4 months ago, that is an insane drop-off. Honestly, one of the worst drop-offs I have ever seen for a video game. You would think that this would have at least 300 or 400,000 people in game, but they can't even muster that up. And the only thing that people are really doing to interact with this game is going and leaving negative reviews because they're sad, because they're angry, because they're disappointed. If you love this game, if seeing the reviews and its current Steam score leaves you angry, if you want to defend everything about the game, please read this and keep an open mind. I quite literally beg you. This review isn't really meant for the team or Capcom, as one person alone is not going to do much. It's for the people who see this and think about the game either, so perhaps they can agree with at least some of the issues I have and talk about. They discuss how it runs like an unpeeled potato, is blurry and grainy even in the best case scenario, and those best case scenarios will never happen because, like every modern game, it requires upscaling to run without exploding your PC. So it looks as blurry as videos of alien sightings. Wild looks good, but not even close to good enough to justify how heavy it is either. Most of its prettiness comes purely from visual direction choices. They talk about how they felt that it was rushed, and they even say that, like, if you love this game, that's great, but unfortunately, it's just not spectacular in their opinion, and clearly many other people's opinions. And even if you go over to social media, like you go to X, you can see a lot of people discussing this. Monster Hunter Wilds on PC has been plagued with issues since launch. Despite player outcry on Steam in a recent update touted by games media as a fix, the game remains broken. A quick glance at Steam reviews reveals ongoing problems, with many reporting the game is now even more unstable. Monster Hunter Wilds on PC has been broken since launch, and players protested on Steam, and now after a new update, games media is declaring the issues are fixed, except quick check on the Steam review page would indicate that is not true at all. Even more broken, it seems. Yeah, they haven't touched their performance at all. They're updating to be compatible with the most up-to-date frame gen and super res. However, that doesn't make up for the performance being shit. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this situation. I'm just very sad to see the access media touting that it's fixed and getting people excited just for those players to get in game and see that it's still fucking broken. I can't believe this drop off, and I can't believe that the access media is really still sitting here saying that it's fixed when it's not. When if you just take 5 seconds of your time and head on over to Steam and look at what players are saying, it paints a very different picture. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.